Hello and welcome to what I believe will be this week's episode of Embodied Divinity. I'm saying it that way because I was called to record at a time I never record. And really prompted and have so much that's moving through. Um, but also it's, you know, it mm, when I started out this season of Embodied Divinity, and I tuned into Source and the collective and what would be me standing in my highest self of embodied divinity. The one thing that rang true more than anything was for this to be a pure, authentic human experience through and through. It's why I took off my intro and outro. It's why I don't edit any of these episodes. What you get is what is recorded in the first take, whether I'm feeling vulnerable or happy with it or not. And also moving into a space of no longer trying to teach or awaken or move from this space of I see myself as in any way more knowledgeable than anyone else, and more of a I'm sharing my remembering and trusting that the people, the beings who are meant to hear that for whatever reason, hear that. Period. End of story. um I believe this is the way of the new earth, of the sacred experience we are collectively choosing to embody here. Unity and community and equality and the honoring of each and every one of us is special, beautiful differences, knowing we're all united in oneness. And we do that by being 100% transparent and authentic. And of course, there's a level of awareness of not, of being able to process and ground in your own energy, message, voice, and really, intentionally, consciously choose to come from soul rather than ego, but to still be in the human mess of it all. That is my desire, intention for this sacred space that we are co creating together with Source. And so, as we move along in this season, there's going to be edges to what I share, edges that I was previously not comfortable with, always coming to you after they've been processed and grounded, but also some really beautiful personal shares that I feel called to share because as I move through something, I know that someone else is moving through it, even if the circumstances and details are different. So, without further ado, I want to share first. I don't know what order because I'm just going to share. So, you're going to hear me mention on Wednesday's guest episode a beautiful experience I had with my daughter in witnessing the results and effect of cycle breaking and generational pattern breaking. So, I'll tell the longer version here since I gave you a glimpse. Well, in the future. You'll understand when you listen to the guest episode after this one. Anyways, me and my daughter are driving. Okay, let me start at the beginning. I was putting the ball in my daughter's court she's 16. She just enrolled in college. She's getting ready for her first day. And I'm watching her move through this process. I'm noticing, I'm trying to just take a step back and let her kind of take initiative, be proactive, do the things she needs to do, and she's not doing it. And I'm feeling myself get frustrated over the course of a few days. And when the first day of school comes and there's all this stuff left undone that would be very beneficial to her on her first day of class, I'm feeling it bubble and I'm short with her. I'm short with her as she's of course, this is hindsight. I'm short with her as she's celebrating this really beautiful milestone. So we're kind of snappy. I'm kind of snappy at her on the way to school and in the way of like rushing her and just like, talking to her about the importance of organization and all of these things. And I can tell she's nervous and I can feel it. And so I switch the narrative and I'm just trying to celebrate her for a moment. I drop her off and it's just not the way that I knew it could have been if I was able to process and be with my emotions in the days previous. But for some reason, I allowed them to bubble. And I'm sitting there and I decide to go get my daughter flowers and coffee and I'm going to take her out to lunch after and we're going to talk through this all. And I'm driving back to the school. And I think it was a song that came on, or might have been, I don't know, a sign I saw, something on the way that just triggered this memory of me going through that. I also graduated when I was 16, but I figured out everything by myself. I bought my own car. I enrolled in college. I went up to the classes. I figured out grants. Like I did everything by myself. My parents weren't involved in my life in that way, ever. And it created this really independent woman who also didn't know how to lean in or slow down or do anything herself. And I'm like, I never want my daughter to experience that, to feel that way. What am I doing? And I pick her up and I just pulled over and I said, I'm so sorry. I recognize that because I grew up in this certain way, I was saying you needed to feel that whole yourself, that need and pressure to do it on your own. And I don't want you to feel that need and pressure to do it on your own. I want you to be able to, capable of. In those hard moments, I would want you to be able to pick yourself up. But in this life, I want you to let others in. I want you to receive their support. I want you to be able to experience softness and grace. And I'm sorry I was projecting my own independence on you. And she said, I appreciate that. I've had the best teenage experience. And I love that I can lean into you. I could never do this by myself. And I don't ever want to have to. And it was just so beautiful for my inner child to see. I don't need to be jealous of the way that I parent her. I get to parent myself that way now. I get to celebrate myself that way now. And these are the ways that we can recognize the patterns. Whether you're a parent or not, you can witness the way that you're showing up differently in each and every situation. You get to recognize that and choose from a deeply empowered place. And it's so beautiful. So that experience happened. And other experiences happened in my personal life with my parents and not feeling celebrated or witnessed or understood. And I'm processing it all and it's all so beautiful. And I'm like so stoked about the awarenesses I'm having, the freedoms that I'm now experiencing. And my friend Christina just invites me to this like 4 hour who like breath work workshop where you do breath work basically to the point of like having an out of body experience or a deep psyche experience. And so we went to that. So we go to the workshop and I have no like expectations. Like I'm just there. She invited me. I felt called to say yes. I said yes. It all felt together. I felt like a little resistance the day of, but I show up, we sit down, we do it. We're moving through it and about 15 minutes in, my arms and legs are cemented to the ground. Like I am paralyzed. My everything, every muscle is cramped, but it doesn't hurt. I'm just cemented. I'm cemented to that spot right there. And I'm aware, I'm observing, I'm noticing, I'm not allowing it to freak me out. I'm not trying to control it. I'm just observing it. And this goes on, and it starts to get annoying. But I tune into my body, and my body doesn't want me to try to move or break free. And I'm like, okay, what is this? And I breathe into it, and I hear my inner, my personality, my human self, my inner child, whatever you call it, say, please stay. Please stay. Don't leave. Can you stay? I had this really deep urge to look at my phone, which I never care about looking at my phone. I have this deep urge. I can't move. I'm feeling anxious. I'm starting to tell stories. Is it one of my kids texting me? I'm breathing. Source says, nothing is wrong. You're not missing out on anything. Please stay. And it's so weird because I'm having this anxiety and these feelings, and my body just wants me to stay. And so I surrender, I tune in, I tell myself, I will never leave you. I'm here. I choose you. I choose to be here. And the next thing I know, what flashes before my eyes is every single moment from the time I was 18 months old until that present moment where another had abandoned me. And not just in leaving. One of the most powerful experiences I had last night was a vision of my children's biological father, who they haven't had any contact with for 14 years. And I've told you guys the story. I left a hard situation, and I allowed myself to heal. I never really felt anger towards him for really anything other than the pain that was caused to my children. But even then, I had this capacity to see it and really just focus on myself and move on and learn what I could from the situation. And last night, with all of these situations, right? Because I do that. And I know if I do that, so many of you do that. We hold ourselves to such a high standard that we blame ourselves for everything because we're always told like there's not to blame other people, hold ourselves accountable. And we get so good at that. I got so good at that. That every time a person hurt me, left me, did something that I was perceiving as shitty, I always said, how did I invest in this? How did I create this? And I think that's awesome. I think we should do that. I did it because it felt like the only thing I truly had control over was my response. And while that's true, there is a part of us, our inner child, our sacred ego, these versions of ourselves that are here in humanity that experience that anger and hurt. And it's okay to be mad, and it's okay to say, I did this, and so did you. Not to blame or to punish, but to take some of the burden off of you and to hold another accountable. And you don't need to do this verbally or even express it to them. You can just say it energetically and feel it out loud and let your inner child know that you didn't deserve that. And so I never really thought of my exes abandoning me because I walked away from his abusive behavior. And what I did last night was I saw this vision of when we were 16 years old and we were hanging out and we were actually like really good friends. And I watched the memories of some of the good times we had. And then I watched as he abandoned me through choosing drugs and violence and other women and all the things that he chose. He abandoned me in those moments, energetically, as a partner, as a best friend, as someone that I cared deeply for. And it was so hard to say that because it was so much easier to take all of the responsibility, but it was actually really hard to say, he abandoned me and I didn't deserve that. So let's take a deep breath here. So not only was I able to see and feel that, but I was able to see the bigger picture behind every single event in my life that I, my inner child, felt abandoned and hurt. And then I got to experience the goodness with these people. I got to feel my anger towards them, and then I got to feel deep gratitude towards them. And all I kept seeing in between was this image of this vibrant version of me wearing this yellow dress in a field of sunflowers, and the sun was shining, and there was so much joy. And she kept popping in over and over, like, this story, this narrative no longer has authority over you. It's safe to own your sacred presence. It's safe to acknowledge the ways that you've been hurt, and so that you can choose a different frequency, a different vibration, a different story, a different pattern. And in the end, I just hung out with this vibrant, beautiful girl, merging her with my current reality and self. And it was so beautiful and so powerful. And there was this fierce depth, like this sacred goddess energy mixture between Isis and Kali, and it was just so yummy. And I share that, I think, to say that sometimes the ability to step back and take responsibility and accountability for every single thing, while powerful and beautiful and self-aware, and this amazing accomplishment that you've created from your healing journey, is so valuable. And we should always look at ourselves and hold ourselves accountable for our actions. And can we let it be okay to hold others accountable energetically by owning and honoring the anger, the rage, the jealousy, the betrayal, the darkness, whatever it might be? Can you let yourself experiencing that toward another too, and so that together we may heal as we see and accept each and every version of ourselves? And this plays a big part. These witnessings feel a big part of addressing our generational trauma and being cycle breakers in our family. It was moments like these over and over again throughout my healing journey that allowed me to have the awareness and capacity to notice the patterns I was breaking, to show up differently for my children, to consciously parent, to show up differently in my relationships, with my interactions with any being, noticing the evolution as I hold myself and others accountable. And so, as we move forward, holding each other as empowered witnesses of these experiences, can we celebrate the ways that we stayed and we chose ourselves, and we chose to heal, and we chose to grow and evolve and show up as these fierce, compassionate peace and magic creators, miracle workers. You're here listening to this for a reason. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so unbelievably proud of you for the way that you continue to invest in yourself, to honor yourself, to hold yourself up, and to evolve in this human experience. I love you guys. Thank you for sharing this sacred space with me. As always, breathe deep and plan on miracles.